Welcome back. I'm Matt Wacker, and you're watching the Weekly Recap. It's not every day that a head of state visits small-town Missouri, but that's exactly what happened in Cuba on October 30th. Chief Jeffrey Standing Bear came to town with other members of the Osage Nation for a symposium regarding the Osage Trail Legacy Monument Project. Fidelity's Lee Mentink had the honor of speaking with Chief Standing Bear.
I'm sitting here in Cuba, Missouri with Chief Jeffrey Standing Bear of the Osage Nation. And I wanted to ask you, Chief, what is the significance of the Osage Trail Legacy Monument for the Osage Nation?
As you know, and your viewers may or may not know, our people lived here for a long time and left here about 150 years ago. And the last person who was born here passed away in the early 1900s. All those people are long gone. We don't have a lot of stories about living here, but we consider this our old home territory, and it's just always good to be recognized. And the community here has done that, and we appreciate it.
Let me ask you as a general question. You've been Chief of the Osage Nation since 2014, I understand. What do you feel is the most necessary reform in U.S. and Osage Nation relations?
Well, the best relationship with the United States of America is to have the federal government recognize us as a local government and to have respect enough to allow us to govern ourselves.
So you're purporting local government of the Osage Nation by the Osage Nation.
Yeah, let me tell you, we have a chief's office and we have a legislature. We have 12 members of the Osage Congress, and they act as any other legislature. They appropriate money. So if I wanted any projects to promote, I go to them and I justify the program to the legislature, and they fund it or not fund it. Then we have a court, we have a Supreme Court justice here that functions like the Supreme Court. We have trial judges in our territory that take care of issues. We have, road people that drive issues, and all the probate issues, just all the issues that people have, but on a much smaller scale, because it only pertains to us.
Well, I really appreciate you giving me this time. Chief Jeffrey Standing Bear of the Osage Nation. Matt, back to you.
Chief Standing Bear spoke about his determination to bring greater economic diversity to the Osage Nation and pledged to reestablish connections with Mid-Missouri. As part of the presentation, Cultural Director Van Bighorse gave a prayer song in the Osage language.
Oh, hey, day, we got go bail. Hey, yo. Oh, hey, day, we got go bail.
We'll have more next week about the Osage Trail Legacy Monument Project. Newburgh High School senior Chris McDonald was honored by the Newburgh R2 Board of Education with the Hero Award at the board's October 22nd meeting. If you remember, McDonald, with help from classmate Preston Ternasky, saved the life of 24-year-old Corey Smart, whose legs had been cut off by a train in their hometown of Arlington. Superintendent Lynn Reed said, quote, "Our board, staff, and students are all so proud of Chris. He was able to perform at a level that many adults could not have, possibly being the difference in life and death for the young man who was injured." Sometime next spring, Interstate 44 travelers driving a Tesla electric car might be able to fuel up in Rolla. Officials with Tesla Motors have asked Rolla Municipal Utilities about the possibility of installing a large transformer near Bandana's Barbecue on Martin Spring Drive. That transformer would power 4 superchargers, with each supercharger having 2 stations, so as many as 8 cars could be hooked up at one time. Tesla officials say a car can be charged in 45 minutes. RMU General Manager Rodney Bourne said the company is building charging stations at Springfield and St. Louis and want one in Rolla to be halfway in between. According to information from Tesla Motors, there are already charging stations in Missouri at Independence, Columbia, and St. Charles. Only 2 of the 4 members on Rolla's Board of Public Works voted in favor of an agreement that will lead to construction of a solar farm but that doesn't mean the other two are opposed to it. Following months of searching, Missouri-based MC Power Companies found 20 acres on the east side of High Point Industrial Park to install a solar power generating facility. Approval of the agreement will be up to the Raleigh City Council, but the company is seeking the full support of the Board of Public Works. Local law enforcement and their spouses gathered at the Cowan Civic Center for an appreciation dinner on October 27th. The event was originally conceived by Mayor Lyle Anderson and then organized and underwritten by Kenny Howe. The Lebanon Police Department, Laclede County Sheriff's Office, Missouri Highway Patrol, Emergency Service Chaplains of Laclede County, and Lebanon City Council members were among those in attendance. Branson entertainer and Deputy Barney Fife impersonator Terry Wayne Sanders gave an impromptu performance. This vintage Missouri Highway Patrol car greeted attendees as they entered the building. A St. James man will spend the next 15 years in prison for assaulting a 7-month-old on May 16, 2014. 28-year-old Brad Brand pled guilty to first-degree assault just days before his trial was set to begin, thus receiving the maximum sentence allowed by law for this particular crime. One person was seriously injured in this two-vehicle crash on October 26th. It occurred at the US 63 bypass on Highway 17. 49-year-old Kimberly Gunther suffered moderate injuries and was flown by Air Evac EMS to a Springfield hospital for treatment. The truck driver was 58-year-old Russell Segner of Oakland, Tennessee. He was unharmed. According to a police report, Gunther was driving a 2006 Dodge Charger north on Highway 17 when she crossed the intersection of the bypass and pulled into the path of Segner's 2013 Volvo tractor-trailer. Lights have been installed at Bank of Sullivan Ballpark. Andy Miller has more on this story.
I'm here with Bart Dimbo, the Sullivan Athletic Director here in Sullivan, Missouri. Well, Bart, you got some new lights around here. What's that going to do for Sullivan High School?
One of the biggest differences is it's going to allow us to play full JV games, which is something that's been an issue for us in the past. We've been at the mercy of the sun going down, so now we ought to be able to get all of our JV innings in, which is really going to improve our program.
What kind of company did you go with for the lights, and did you use local companies to kind of help out the process?
We have Musco Lighting, which is one of the most respected names in the lighting business, and then we were able to use several local companies to help put the lights up. TRE was great as far as doing all the wiring and the electrical work on it, and we had some other companies that came out and helped us. We love to use as many local companies as possible, and on this project they were able to do that.
What kind of feedback have you received about the lights so far?
Well, we've only had them on one time, and that was during the night of the Powder Puff game, and I think everybody was amazed at just how bright the new lights are. We're getting ready to do our candle test here coming up in a couple weeks, where they actually come out, they measure how bright the lights are. So we're looking forward to getting that done. But those that were here that night, saw the lights come on for the first time, were amazed at just how bright they are, and how much light it does provide on the field.
Well, now that you have the lights, are there any future upgrades that you guys are wanting to do to the baseball facility?
Well, ultimately, my goal and the district goal is to get softball back over here and play games. With the lights, that's one big step in that direction. The next step that we're looking into is possibly turfing the field. We're in the talks right now, trying to just get an idea of what that would cost us, what that would do for our facilities. But doing that would allow us to have softball and baseball on our home field. I know Coach Crump would love to get back over here, and that's our goal. We're working on that right now.
Well, good things from Sullivan High School. That was Bart Dimbo, the Sullivan Athletic Director. Thank you, Bart.
Thank you.
District playoff football continues on November 6th. Following their 48-12 victory over Bolivar, the West Plains Zizzers will now hit the road to face the 5-time defending Class 4 champion Cardinals of Webb City. Meanwhile, road fortunes hope to continue for both Lebanon and Salem. The Yellow Jackets will battle the Battle Spartans, and the Salem Tigers will travel south to play the Mountain Grove Panthers. That's all for now. Join me next week for another edition of the Weekly Recap. Thanks for watching.